Well, hey everybody, welcome to part 6 of our contact refine. It is the next day. I took this out of the drying oven, and we're going to do some figures. And if you remember correctly, this was our, I got confused between our little round alloy tungstens and our hard, what I thought was hard alloy that ended up being tungsten when I was talking about it in the last video. But anyway, this is batch number 2. This was our hard alloy tungsten. It was the long bars. Let me see, I brought one in. I've got it in a bag because I don't want to handle it. But it ended up, it was these long looking bars, and at the beginning they would bend, and that was because they were heavily plated with silver, but they still would break. So I thought at first, naturally, that they were a hard alloy. Excuse the air conditioner noise. I hope it's not coming through real hard or real bad in this, but I still haven't been able to change out that AC. Anyway, we started with 105 or 175 grams of these. Okay, I weighed up the powder, the leftover tungsten powder, and these pieces that were left. They totally, I said in the last video it was over 100, get out of here, Nat. It was over 100 grams, and it's actually 101.72 grams of tungsten was in that. So 101.72 of tungsten. Even believing these were hard alloy, I was still expecting, you know, 150 grams of silver, you know, because I reduced what I was actually expecting then, because I thought the hard alloy would be more alloy than silver, and with them being tungsten, it was way more. But anyway, so we started with 175. We ended up with 101.72 grams of tungsten. And we are going to go ahead and weigh this. Our little beaker weighs 101.46. So let's get this in here. I love using that little drying scale. Oh, by the way, look at the difference in the color. You see how white and silvery? It's hard to see on camera. It's silvery to me, but on camera it should appear white to you. Very white. That's how much we cleaned it up from the original mess it was in. I have also come across a few other strange things with some of the other contacts. I know a lot of this, I know Jerry got a lot of these like from industrial stuff, but there is several oddities. I mean, even some of the solid contacts that were out there in the batch I'm filtering now, they're in layers, and it's almost like there's a ceramic or something. They look like a solid contact. You know, they look solid, but then if you look at the edge of some of them, there's a couple that didn't completely dissolve yet. There's actually indentations and layers, and in the solid contacts, there is a fine white powder. I have no idea what it is. I'm thinking that maybe that's what was on top of our stuff in our last acid boil, but I don't know for sure. Anyway, so let's get to weighing this and see what we got. Get my arms off the desk. So I am showing 169.32, 169.32. Okay. So we have 169.32. Our beaker weighs 101.46. So 169.32 minus 101.46 equals, we have 67.86 grams of silver. 67.86, which is less than half of what I was expecting from this batch. So let's do a ratio on that. This is where it's going to hurt, because when you think you've got something that's solid silver, you know, or at least a silver alloy, and it ends up being that, it really hurts your yield, because first of all, it's not only doubling the weight, it's almost actually triple, because the tungsten is twice as dense as the silver. So when you weigh it, you're getting a weight, you know, when you weigh this with the silver on it, you're getting a weight that's like 3 times what it really is. So anyway, let's do this. 67.86 divided by 175. That gave us a 38% yield on that batch. Half. Actually 70, 38, 76, a hair more than half of my minimum. Now, I don't want Jerry to get worried. The only thing I'm going to take 50-50 on him is that test. I am going to put this into the main batch. Hopefully, our main batch will still be way above 75%, even though this was in it, because you know, we had a lot of solid silver contacts. We're looking for a minimum return of 75% to stay at an even keel. So anyway, this first batch, which is actually is our number 2 batch, but it's our first drop and complete batch, came in at 38%. So I'm going to put number 1 up here, because that'll probably be the next one I do. I'm going to go ahead and put this one under number 2. And we are going to put 38%. So that is what we got going on inside. I'm fixing to get back outside. I'll do a little close-up with the close-up camera of this so you can see the difference. I mean, I don't have anything to compare it to other than, you know, you can go back in the videos and look at how fluffy and loose and, you know, and nasty it looked before we did our acid washes. But that's why I always say you've got to clean up your material. I don't care if it's gold, silver, I don't care what you're doing. You know, you have to clean up the material. You can't just drop this stuff, melt it, and think you have pure silver, because you don't. And I don't care what method you use. I mean, you know, I showed you in some videos back where stuff that was dropped in chloride had that glassy crap, whatever it was in it, that I still haven't figured out. And I've had that happen a few times with chloride drops. That weight was nowhere near. I mean, we lost over an ounce, I think it was, in that batch of chloride just to that glassy stuff. So just because you drop it with HCl, or you drop it with salt water, or you drop it with copper, I don't care what you drop it with. Whatever you're doing your drop with, you still have to clean that powder. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I don't care what anybody else does, but I'm not going to mark something fine silver and then get burned because it's not. So, you know, I want to make sure my stuff is clean. That's, you know, that's my, you know, if anybody else who wants to do whatever they want to do, if they think it's clean and they want, that's fine. You'll find out when you go to sell it, especially if you're selling it to a refinery. You may get away selling it to individuals or something like that, but because they don't really have an accurate way to test it unless they have an XRF gun. But when it goes to refinery, you're going to get paid for what's there. You're not going to get paid for what you think is there. So anyhow, that is our first batch, 38%. I'm hoping the rest of it will do better. Like I said, let me get this close up. I'll get you a close up in there and show you this stuff. And we're going to get outside. I'm going to show you those ones that look like they're flaking apart and some other stuff. Okay guys, here's just the close-up. I just wanted to show you how it looks, how it moves. That is 100 times cleaner. And right quick, I forgot to figure how much junk metal we took out of this when I was on the other camera. So we had 67.8. Let me figure this up real quick. Started with 175. We had 101.72 grams of tungsten. So that equals 73.28 grams of powder when we first dropped it. We ended up, after cleaning it, with 67.86. So whatever else was in here before we put it through the HCl washes, this is what it weighed. At 101.70, that's at least 73 grams. And let's see. So 67 minus 67.86 equals. Look at that. There was 5 grams. Almost 5.5 grams of whatever was turning that acid, that black and that dark green color and everything else. 5.42 grams of crap was in that after the tungsten. So whatever other alloys were in it and whatever anything else. So if you would have taken that silver right there, right when we dropped it and melted it, it only would have been 94.5% pure. It almost would have been sterling. It almost was right down to the sterling level, just 2 points away from sterling. So you see what I mean? There's 5.42 grams in what you're calling pure silver. That's not even remotely acceptable. So that is why, guys, you have to clean your stuff up. That would be 94. It would actually have been, if I melted it as it was, it would have been 94.58. So 94.58 pure. That is not good. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that real quick. So that's how much we took out of the silver powder in crap after we dropped it. So that's what the HCl washes removed. Alright guys, I'm going to get outside. Okay guys, we are outside, and I just wanted to show you what I was talking about in there. This was the solid contacts, but you see those sheets? And then it just breaks down into this white or grayish powder, which I'm thinking is the same grayish powder that we had floating on that other stuff last night, or yesterday in our last video. This is the contacts that remain. This will just crumble, but you see how it is? It's actually like in sheets. And this white stuff, see, it just crushes up. So I mean, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to throw these in again. I'm gonna try them. I already tried a piece of this stuff in 35% nitric acid to see if it would dissolve, and it does nothing. So it's definitely not silver. Say hello, Ebony. Hello. So anyway, that's where we're at. Let me go real quick. Our number 3 is finished. It's just settling from the stir. Our other number 1 jar is still dropping. So, we're just going to keep putting copper in that one until it finishes. The little number 1 jar is done. You can almost tell by the color when they're done. See, this is still pretty green. So that one's done. The number 4 will be the next one we work on, which was actually these little guys. That's the ones I was confusing with those. So that's where we're at. I'm going to continue on. And like I said, everything now is just rinsing. You've already seen me do it. So as I come across things, or I find something else, I will bring it to your attention. I just wanted to show you too, these were those yellow ones. Now yesterday, 3 or 4 days ago, they were all yellow, like those ones back there. Now whatever that yellow is oxidizing. I don't know if you remember saying it's like turning an oily black. Well, each day they sit out here, they get blacker. So whatever that yellow is oxidizing and turning black. So anyhow, that's where we are. I'm going to go ahead and get to work today, and I'll get back at you. Okay guys, we are outside, and I have taken one of these guys and a piece of that other stuff and put it in 35% nitric acid, and that's what's happening. This is in layers. You can see if I go like that, I fluff off that stuff, and it almost looks like copper. And then it'll all white up again as it dissolves. So I really don't know. I've never seen contacts do this before, so this is a new one on me. These are actually layered. I mean, not all of them were, obviously, just these that didn't dissolve. But that's what it's doing. You can see it eating through down to the next layer. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in here one at a time. And the other stuff, the other little one is like on the left there, it's just floating around. But I mean, it is dissolving. You can see it's getting, I don't know, it's just weird. So we're just going to let these do what they do. I guess they're going to create a whole bunch more of this powdery crap like that. So I'm just wondering if I'm going to have to put these little chunks or pieces back into nitric until I probably will. What I'll do is I'll continue filtering that off into here, and then I'll put that plug in here. So if there's anything that needs to be dissolved, it'll dissolve. Alright, I'm going to get back to work. Okay guys, earlier I had told you that I took one of these, I put it up here in this one. This one is actually still going, but I wanted to see what I just wanted nothing else in there but fresh nitric and fresh distilled water. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but I just put more nitric and more water in here to make sure that this was not reacting anymore. And you can see there is like a whole little plate still left in there, and this fibrous looking stuff. I don't know how well you can see that, but none of that's reacting at all. So I'm going to put another one in here, and I actually there's some little fuzzy looking things in there that look like silver. I got them before and I put them in dilute nitric, and they dissolved right away. But it left little fibrous looking things, almost like fiberglass looking stuff behind. So I'm going to go ahead and put another one in here, the same basic kind. I'm going to see if it starts reacting. Yeah, see, it's reacting immediately. So whatever that little bit of stuff is, I don't know if that plate that was left in there is just a little bit of the powder that's still in the shape of the plate. I'm going to let this one go, and then I'm going to try and crush it up and see if that's what it is, if it's just a shell. Alright guys, I just wanted to show you, I have never experienced this type of contact before. So alrighty, hey, it's always something new, right? So we'll be back at you if we come up with anything else.
Okay.
No, just keep going for a minute. Okay guys, we got our copper plates in solution, and you can see that one's actually going nice and good, nice and even. This one's a little perky, and this one's a little perky, and this one's going nice and easy. I wanted to actually bring something up right quick while we're looking at this, and it was a comment from VW8796G35. And he brought up a point about the hydrochloric acid, because I said it doesn't dissolve the silver. In small, minute amounts may dissolve. I mean, I think he said in the comments that per liter. You may get about a gram. I don't know that I've ever gotten that. I do keep, I just wanted to show you over here, I do keep a jar. When I do the HCl wash, sometimes on the very first, distilled water rinse, you'll get a little bit of chloride. So what I do is I actually pour that chloride off and I pour it in that jar. That's about 2 or 3 years worth. So it's not, I think maybe in a large refining operation, it may make quite a difference, if you're doing a lot. But I think on a small scale, like what I do, it takes a long time for anything to add up. And I also found when I pour that off, I actually poured some off to just show you. This is the stuff that accumulates sometimes. Now that's if it happens. Sometimes it doesn't happen at all. And this is actually what's in the bottom of the HCl. I let it settle out after I, after I poured it off, and we got a little bit of a chloride-looking stuff in there. But I found that a lot of this is lead, and you can tell by the way it moves, and it's very, very, very dirty. But I just did that with this batch. I want to check it. I want to see what it is. I want to make sure. But anyway, I just thought I would bring that up. Like I said, I have never looked at the numbers on it, so I'm not absolutely sure how much goes where. I take his word for it, though. I don't think he would put that in there if he didn't know. But anyhow, I just wanted to show you that I do save that up. But that little bit that's in that jar, you can't really see it. This little bit that is in here is actually, after I clean it, rinse it, and whatever, and get the chloride out, that's from a couple years. So yeah, you can. I try to get everything I can get, but there's some things that, it's the amount for what you have to do to get it, and how long it takes it to add up. Sometimes some of it just gets, sacrificed to the refining gods. But anyway, I did want to bring that up because that is a good point that he brought up, and I thought that we should, talk about it for a second. So I'm going to go ahead and let these guys go, and we're going to move on to cleaning up some more stuff. So we'll be back in a bit. Okay, guys, we have finished our rinse on this number 1, which is our bar test. I'm getting some more water, ready to boil right now. I wanted to show you this because I think I figured out our contaminant. I noticed it before in the last 2 batches that I've done, but just not as strong as I noticed it in this one. I believe that is nickel, and I think that is what our contamination is, with some lead and a little copper in our in these particular contacts, especially the ones that have anything to do with tungsten in this batch. They're all, look to me like they're thrown. If anybody's ever taken MLCCs, especially the crappy ones, and they throw them in hydrochloric acid, that's pretty much the color you get right there. So more than likely this is a nickel contaminant. Maybe what's in between on those sheets, because we have those weird sheets and weird plates in this stuff, and a lot of powder that looks almost like ceramic powder. I'm hoping that's not going to affect our yield too much, but there has been a lot of it. So I don't really know. I don't know how it's going to affect it till the end. But anyhow, I'm thinking that is more than likely a nickel contaminant. Once this water gets up to heat again, I'll set it off to the side, and then we're going to go ahead and boil this. This is the last rinse on this one. Then we'll add some HCl to that one, and we will boil it as well. So, but I think that's what our problem is. I think we've got maybe a 5%, 4, 5, 6% nickel content in these contacts. So hopefully we can get rid of it. I know I've gotten rid of it in the other ones, the first 2 that I've done already. I'm not seeming to have a problem getting rid of it. It's just, it's just taking up some extra weight. So I wanted to show you that. We will pop back in later on. Okay guys, I just wanted to show you, this was our first hot rinse with our distilled water and after we boiled off our first little jar of number 1. You can see even in the hydrochloric acid over here, that's the other jar of number 1. Look at the difference in the color. And this is our first rinse. I'm not seeing any chlorides, so I believe we are good to go. I'll put this in the HCl rinse bucket. And once again, like I always said, nothing's getting tossed yet. You know, nothing's getting neutralized and cleaned up and dumped out, none of that, because there is silver in there. There's going to be a little bit of silver in the HCl bucket, so we're going to recover all that. I just got this is the stuff that is coming off the filters. There's some more filters up there. We got a lot of crap in this stuff. You can just tell by that has been sitting for 4 days and it is not cleared. I just did another little, that's some more of our rinse water to reduce. I just dropped a little bit more silver chloride, you can see down there, out of some other rinse water. So we're getting as much as we can of this. And there's our pretty much our spent copper nitrate. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and continue to rinse this, get it in the pan, and then we'll do this one. We'll get it in our little drying pan and get it in our drying oven, and we'll see what our experiment did. In the meantime, I'm going to put some more copper in these bad boys and continue dropping them. So we will be back when we got something to show you. Hey guys, just popping in for a second to show you, this is our second acid boil, HCl boil, on the second jar of the number 1 batch from the bars. And I'm not seeing any crud in there, so I'm going to let it go a few more minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and get this rinsed up and get it in the pan with this first one and get it in the drying oven. So that's where we are now. I think I'm going to go in. I've been out here all afternoon and I'm starting to get a little tired. So there's where we are, and we'll pick it up again tomorrow. Okay guys, it is the next day. I'm actually going to have to take some time off today and mow. But here's what we got going on. I just put a new plate in this one. This one, the plate is gone, but this is what I wanted to show you. Look at that. That's something, another new thing I've never had. I've had crystals form, but normally they form on the, on the copper, on the coil, or on the plate. I've never had them form like grass growing on the bottom, so that's a new one. This is our other little one. We got some crystals forming there. Now these, to me, I don't know what they are. I'm sure they're silver, but they don't look like it. That looks like a silver cluster. But this actually looks like I'm putting it through the electrolysis, or or putting it through the silver cell. This guy is probably going to take a little bit more copper too as well. But I got chores to do first before we get out here. But I wanted to show you these because a lot of times you'll see this stuff and then it'll dissolve. So I just wanted to show it to you while it was here. But that looks like just like grass grew all across the bottom of the top layer of whatever. I know there's junk in there. I don't know if that is junk. It looks like real fine silver crystals, and this one I know is silver crystals, you can tell. So I just wanted to show you that before I get on the lawnmower. So we'll be back at you after that. Okay guys, we got our silver from those bus bars or whatever they were. Anyway, we've got it out of the oven. It's dried. I don't know how well it shows up in here, but I mean, I'm looking at the camera too, and I can see that it's showing pretty white. Let me grab, hang on just a second, I'll get the close-up camera and take a picture, or take up a close-up so you can see it. But anyway, before I do that, I ended up doing, I think it was two HCl boils on this stuff. There was a lot more of that crap in it than there was in the other stuff, in the other tungsten contacts. So I'm hoping, I don't know, we were looking at we were hoping for about 180 grams roughly out of those. There was 1,451 grams that we started with. I did a little test, which, you know, just a couple of them, but there's going to be different wear on the majority of them. I mean, I was hoping for like, I think we worked out to like 12.5% or something like that. But anyhow, let me grab the other camera. I'll show you how this stuff looks close up, and then we'll come back and do our weigh-in and see what we ended up with. Okay guys, I just wanted to show you how this looks close up. It came out really nice, but like I said, we had to do 2 washes on it. So it is definitely, it came out nice and clean compared to how it dropped. As I'm finding with most of this refine, it seems like the stuff is dropping, you know, very dirty. We've had some unusual stuff like ceramic stuff and sheets inside what we think were solid contacts, and anyhow, but anyway, there it is close up. So let me go ahead and get the other camera back on, and we'll get this stuff weighed up and see what we got. Hopefully we got close to 180 grams, so we'll see in just a second. Alright, let me get a spoon right quick here, and we're just gonna, boy, my golden years, right? My left arm has been giving me a fit today. Anyhow, let me scoop up what I can into here. We have a weight on our beaker. It's 101.46, so we'll be able to take that off. The powder did come out. It actually came out really nice, but it was a little bit more to clean this up. Had a lot more. I'm thinking it's nickel. I mean, it could be cobalt, it could be anything, but I'm pretty sure it's nickel that was in these anyway, and it's in our other ones as well, just not as much. This had a lot more in it. So we are hoping for at least 180. We'll see what we get. And this one is, I'm going to be, the last couple batches, I've actually had 2 or 3 batches of contacts that I've done. A couple were off-camera jobs, but out of about the last 3 contact jobs that I've done, I've been running into this oddball stuff. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my pricing for silver contacts anyway. It'll all be on my website. I'll put a link in the description, and if I can, I'll throw a link up here, but if you want to go to the refining page on my website, you can go check the pricing out. I'm actually going to, like I said, I'm going to have to update some things time-wise, work-wise. Well, we'll see. Let's just see what happens here. Get off of this. So we have 242.01, and do I not have a pen here? 242.01, and our beaker weighs 101.46. So that already tells me we're not near 180. 242.01 minus 101.46 equals 140 grams and a half, 140.55 grams, 140.55. So that's what we yielded out of that stuff. So let's see, we had an original starting, so we've got 140.55. We're actually an ounce and a quarter less than what I was hoping for off those bars. An ounce and a quarter is a lot. when it comes to silver. That's a lot. This is why, you know, I know I keep stressing and talking about things and price and cost and splits and this and that, but as far as contacts go, I am going to be adjusting my fees for silver contacts. I have one more silver contact refine in line. That was quoted at the old fees, so there's not going to be any problem there. I'm going to go ahead and do it at that. But then anything I take from now on is going to have to be adjusted up to what I have on the website. And also, I've been doing VGA chips. I've been doing them originally. If I had to burn them and do the wash and all that, it was a 50-50. I have been doing VGA chips at the 25% rate. I'm not going to be able to do that anymore either. It's going to have to be like the 50-50 that it was on the site. The computer scrap, there's too many variables. It takes too much time. You know, here I can take this. I have no issues. 1, 2, 3, bang. The alloys are very simple. This is, you know, I know what I have to deal with here. You start getting with computer stuff and, you know, all that, there's a lot more to deal with in the computer scrap. And with the cost of everything going up, acids and this and that and you know, whatever, it's not feasible at 25% for me to do the burn, I mean, just what it costs me in the fuel to burn it, you know, and to do the filtering and cleaning and all that stuff. I will do them at the 25% like I will any other chip if they've been burned and cleaned up, you know, accordingly. But if I have to do it all, and that's no backs, I'm not taking the backs off, just the black caps. So, and that's going to have to go to the 50-50 like it originally was, because I just don't have, first of all, I don't have the time to do it. And you're talking about 2 or 3 extra days to do the burn and the burn cleanup. So, anyhow, let's see what we got going on here. Enough of that crap for right now. So we ended up with 140.55 grams, which, like I said, is about 1.25 ounces less than I expected. And let's see what the percentage was. We are looking at about, it's 9.68%, so 9.7% yield. And again, I know I'm harping on cost and price and things. This 1,451 grams, had it been even low grade standard contacts, this is what the yield, average yield would have been. 14.58 we started with. We should have yielded out of that, if this was regular contacts, 80, 51. That would have been, if it was regular contacts, it probably would have yielded a batch of 1,160 grams or better. So 1,160 grams or better. I would say it would have yielded 1,200 grams. All right, 1,200 grams is 38.5 ounces ballpark. 38.5 ounces. Troy ounces. If this would have been regular contacts. Instead, we ended up with 0.55 divided by 31.104. We yielded up with 4.5 ounces. This is what I'm trying to explain the difference of. Now granted, yes, it didn't take as much nitric acid, it didn't take as much of this or that, but time-wise, and going out there and cleaning that stuff up, and it was very messy, and having to boil it, and all that stuff would have had to been done if this was a 38-ounce batch. So the amount of actual work and time is about the same, and I ended up with what is that? 10, not even, just about 10%. This is why you got to set, bases and standards for your fees. You have to, it's just Granted, I said I'm not going to harp on this one because I was doing this as a test. I wanted to see what we would get out of them. I knew it wasn't going to be much, but I mean, I still expected 1.25 ounces more than we got. So anyway, like I said, that stuff will all be on the website if you want to go check it out. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and split this up. So we have 145.5, 140.55 divided by 2, because I said this would be a 50-50. So 70.27 grams of this is mine. Alright, so let's take this over here. Tar that out. And I'm keeping this separate from the, from the regular batch, because this was a separate thing. So 5170 minus 51.13, so I need another 19.14 grams. For my end of the 50-50, and this ended up being a 50-50 split. $16, $17, $19.14. That's close enough. 19.1. So there is my end of the bars, and that is his. I will put his in a separate little container or bag, because he's actually going to return as powder. And that's where we are right now, guys. So I just wanted to show you, this was our experiment. Like I said, I don't know what's with this particular batch. I've had some that are better and worse, but this one seems like most of the tungsten on this is going to yield less than it should. So let's see if I've got it written down in here where we're at yet. I actually did batch number 4. I don't think I did it on camera, but anyway, this was the first one. That was our weird ones that ended up being the bars. That yielded 38%. Number 4, that was the round small tungsten, and that ended up yielding 45.6%. So hopefully, and I'm a little doubtful, but hopefully our solid contacts will bring that up to par, because I don't know, we'll just have to see what happens. Alright guys, I'm going to let you go. I think I'm going to probably call this video, and we'll see you all in the next one.